Hello, you sign. Hello, sign. I don't know which sign yet, but so I'm going to be using the Yggdrasil Norse divination cards for you today. Whoever. Well, let's just use Siri. If Siri says 4, I'm going to lose it because so far it's been all cardinal signs. Hey Siri, choose a random number between 1 and 12.
A random number between 1 and 12 is 8.
Scorpio. Scorpio, yeah. It was supposed to be Cancer. Well, maybe Cancer don't get the Norse divination cards. Maybe Cancer gets another system. So, Scorpio. I just did Libra. That's funny. I just had 7. Now we're doing 8. So we're going in. Oh, here it is. I was like, my sticky note. We're going in order now. So Scorpio. I don't know. Well, I'll just get a card, and we'll go from there. Ooh, Scorpio, 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 Scorpio. I'm rude. With Odin at the bottom of the deck? Okay. You have Amrun, the known unknown. If she there we go. Hold up, y'all. It would be cool if, like, there we go. Amrun with Odin at the bottom of the deck. The known unknown in Odin, the one who sacrificed his eye to know, like, everything, or to at least see everything. Omniscience, wisdom, poetry, and language with the known unknown. Oh, Scorpio. Where are you taking me? Usually this would kind of bother me a little bit, that it's like this, where it's so light that it's, like, hard to see. Hey Siri, turn lamp brightness to 65%.
Okay, I set the lamp to 65%.
You did? Hey Siri, set the lamp to 45%.
Okay, I set the lamp to 45%.
It don't look like it's getting any. Oh, well, actually, it might be. Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah, okay, because you can see better. All right, it is. All right, work. Okay. So you have the known unknown, and you have Odin at the bottom of the deck. Scorpio. I feel like somebody just went like, shh. Like, don't talk so loud. Who is this? Who's this trying to make an appearance? Vali? I can't read. Hey, what this say? Vali? I'm gonna have to switch my glasses because the light is so low. Kreisweg, reflection, and Vali is reconciliation. So reconciliation and reflection. Kreisweg and Vali. Olden. I'm rude. Sorry. Where'd my book go? Oh my gosh, Scorpio. I don't want I don't want to do this. It's not that I don't want to do this. Maybe, Scorpio, all of this resistance and hesitance is yours and not mine. Scorpio, stop projecting onto me, gosh. Alright, Scorpio, I'll get it together. Amrun. How do you pronounce these? Is it Amrun? Amrun. Amrun. Amrun is a dark elf knowledgeable in the dark elf runes, also known as moon runes. Amrun may have had a cult following in Sweden. Oh, that's funny because before I started this, when I was setting it up, Torbjorn from Overwatch, and he's like, "For the last time, I'm Swedish." Like that popped into my mind, and then here's like, here's Sweden. Had a cult following in Sweden and has been an entity mostly of folklore. Moon runes are illegible to most, a system of writing runes similar to the Futhark alphabet, but written in such a way that they could only be read by the light of the moon. It is a secretive writing, perfect for Scorpio, meant to stay hidden and meant for hidden messages. Scorpio, just like Odin had to hang from the world tree to be able to read the runes, there's something etched into the depths of, I want to say, the human subconscious that you are perfectly positioned to read. Because it's like the depths, that's your domain, that's their territory. But it almost feels like something that you wouldn't have even recognized it as magical, or you wouldn't have thought of it otherwise, because it's something that you're just like, it's there. It's like, if you lived in London, question mark, wherever Harry Potter is set, where platform 9 3/4 is, right? And let's say that, you go about your life and every now and then you see someone enter that platform, and you don't think it's weird that people are like running inside of a wall and like not hitting the wall. Just like, oh yeah, that's something that happens every now and then. It doesn't happen everywhere. It only happens here. I don't really know why. It's not that you don't care, but it's like you're so wrapped up in your own life that you don't even sort of like see or notice, right? Okay, Amrun. Let's put you here. And then my glasses just hit the floor. So it's something like that. It feels like there's like runes etched into the seafloor or into the ocean floor that you sort of like pass by, walk by every day, and you don't really give any mind to it because it's like it's not out of the ordinary for you, but it also doesn't feel like something that you've entirely engaged either. Some could be read by any moonlight, but it was possible to make the writing even more stealthy, only to be read on the same day of the year, according to the moon calendar, as when they were written. If Amrun shows up in the spread, it indicates something of significance hidden from the seeker. The seeker is advised to know that there is something hidden from them, either by someone else or something that they once knew but have forgotten and is now of significance. Olden. Olden is the most powerful of the Aesir. Right, Aesir. He is the all-seeing and can shapeshift and take most any form. Olden is one of the first gods created out of Ymir's armpit. He is a force of omniscience, transformation, and wisdom for the seeker. Olden, like many gods, holds animals in his service. The two wolves, Gary and Freaky, Giddy, and the ravens, Hugin and Munin. He rides the flying eight-legged steed, Sleipnir, across the sky to Utgarder. Odin has treasures like Gungnir, his spear of courage with runic inscriptions, and Draupnir, the regenerating magical ring. For the seeker, Odin's presence in the spread means advantage from all levels of life, from nature herself. His ravens are his eyes and ears, and his wolves are his force of implementation. His giant eight-legged steed is his passage between the worlds. He is one of the few beings that moves freely around the Tree of Life. He enjoys the advice of Mimir from Jotunheimr, to whom he offered his eye, leaving him famously one-eyed. Having Odin in the place of Asgardr is the strongest possible position for the spread. Okay. Odin has many names, manifestations, and children, most notably the two sons who live in Asgardr, Thor, the thunder god, and Baldur, the white one, the favorite of Asgardr and loved in most all worlds. In most all the worlds. If any member of his family shows up in a spread close to Odin, then it's even more positive reinforcement of his influence. That didn't happen. This card comes with healing, wisdom, poetry, and the command of language and the runic alphabet. Girl, that I should have known that. Hello. So here are these moon runes, the command of language and the runic alphabet, but it comes with magical support. One can say supernatural support, particularly Freya. Freya's not here. Okay. Knowledge of the runic alphabet, but Odin hanged for 9 days. A full lunation cycle is roughly 28 days. That is less than half. It's less than a third, a little bit less than a third, because 9 times 3 is 27. So, in that way, if there were, because not all runes, not all moon runes are only visible in a certain period of time. So there is this energy here of some of the runes that were hidden from Odin. Maybe simply because he wasn't there at the right time, or see, but if they were inscribed on the Yggdrasil tree, the runes should be of all realms. But again, if there were certain runes that would only appear under certain phases, then it's like you'd have to spend at least 28 days. You'd have to spend at least a full lunation cycle hanging from the world tree, assuming the moon works the same as it does here, right? But since it's all intuitive, I'm going to say yeah, for the sake of this, right? Maybe in reality, no, but for the sake of this, yes. So he would have had to hang a full 28 days to make sure that there wasn't any of these moon runes that he had missed. There was still a lot that he was seeking. I remember him going around, he went to the smartest giant or something like that and challenged him to a knowledge off to find out what happens to himself in Ragnarok before Ragnarok happened, and the giant wasn't able to give him an answer. And he, I think he disguised himself as someone else or something, or he wasn't forthcoming with who he was, and the giant's like, I know it's you, Odin. And if I didn't know it was you, this super specific question that you're asking me now pretty much proves it, because Odin is the only one who would be worried about what Odin is worried about, right? And so there is, I guess, a little bit of an energy, maybe because you've been focused on very specific information that furthers your own goals in some way, or that prevents some kind of catastrophe, or not necessarily prevents it, but there's something bigger that has been holding your attention, that has been driving your knowledge quest. Both of these are the first card in their respective domains. Amrun is the first of Svartalfheim, and Odin is the first of Asgardr. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing Svartalfheim right, but I don't know if I'm pronouncing any of these right. Let me just get over that first and foremost, because then that takes away. If it offends you, stop watching. So, Amrun, this is talking about Odin's, the stuff that he missed. And I don't know if this is going to help at all, but we'll see. So what have you been overlooking, Scorpio? What is something that the divine has probably been trying to get you to see that is very close to you, or very much so within your wheelhouse or within your realm of knowledge, of graspable things that you're just not seeing or not picking up on? Maybe because you're too busy focused on other things. Or maybe because you just don't see it, right? It's like if it's in your environment every day, and if it's positioned in a way where you don't think it's out of the ordinary, then it's like, oh, that was a terrible shuffle. Then it's not necessarily. I don't know why my nose is just like draining today. I've been relatively allergy free. Ooh, the Hanged One. The Hanged One and the Seeker of Pentacles. Look at how similar the imagery is in both of these. Right? Here's the Hanged One. Speaking of Odin, the fruit of the Yggdrasil tree himself. And then we have very similar imagery in. Let me make sure. Yeah, very similar imagery in this Page of Pentacles energy. But in the Seeker, no. Yeah, the Seeker of Coins, you can tell that it's wisdom that leads to a certain initiation. Right? Wisdom is the key to unlocking the secrets of the moon. That's the moon today. And especially because Amrud is here. Amrud. 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 If I keep saying Amrud, maybe the secrets will be revealed to me. That reminds me of Moonbrain, and I talked about that. Yeah, because Odin is here, hanging from the world tree for 9 days. It's like you got to get into that space where like the blood is rushing to your head and you're a little bit out of it. That's when you can read the runes. That's when you can see them. And so if it took time to reach that space, then maybe there were even less of the moon runes that he was able to read. Because it feels like all runes would be present on the Yggdrasil tree, regardless. But only some of them would appear under certain circumstances and conditions. It reminds me of the show I watched where they needed to move the moon, but someone was like, "You can't move the moon, but you can ask her to move." And they were like, it's like a stoplight. When her aura is red, I wouldn't ask her anything. When it's yellow, she's warming up to you, and when it's green, you can ask her anything you want. But to be able to see the aura of the moon, they have to have moon brain. And to get moon brain, you have to stay awake for 72 hours straight. So it's that point. There's a thing about reaching sort of these altered states of. It's not. It's kind of an altered state of consciousness, but it's physically triggered through some kind of extenuating process. Like it isn't something that you can supplement with like a chemical or something like that, because it's like you have to take the body to one of its limits before those um before those perceptive boundaries are sort of like lifted, right? It's like you have to interrupt the brain's natural cognitive fixing sort of capability, right? Cognitive fixing being like that. If it's how you can read a sentence where like if the first letter and the last letter of the word are correct but the middle letters are jumbled, your brain can still read it. How your brain will automatically sometimes delete repeated words if like you're reading a sentence and it's like one of those like, can you tell what's wrong with the sentence? And your brain, just as you like speed through it, it automatically corrects for things that it knows shouldn't be there, right? And so maybe like, let's go back to platform 9 3/4. Maybe you're like, well, people can't run through walls, so your brain just like I don't want to say sucks away at that memory, but it gets you to see something else. So even if it is in your environment, because the conditions weren't right, you didn't see it. It's like your brain running that default logic program. Like you don't even have to logic it away. Your brain automatically does it, which is why Odin had to hang for some time, where the blood rushed to his head and like it doesn't do that. Or you got to get moon brain. You got to get so like sleep deprived and delirious that now you can start to see these things. Not only the brain, but also the body, right? Ooh, the Three of Swords. Not surprised to see that for Scorpio. And the Hierophant. The Three of Swords, the Hierophant, and the Lovers. Okay. Who at the bottom of the deck? The Wheel of Fortune. Wheel of Fortune at the bottom of the deck, Scorpio. And you can see the Ouroboros. Let's call it Jormungandr. You can see Jormungandr here. Oh, this is perfect. This is what is available to Midgardians. But this is everything outside of what Jormungandr encompasses. Midgard Sormer, right? The Midgard Serpent. This is not straight. Neither am I. Sorry, Scorpio. I don't know what that was. There we go. Let's try to. Oh, I'm scraping the edge of this little thing right here. I should have tilted it up more. Yeah, what am I doing? There we go. I feel like this is also part of the process, Scorpio. There may be some things that you have to. It's not a complete. It's not a complete framework shift, but there are some things that you may have to. I feel like that didn't really give me any more room, and this card is still in the shadow. Hey Siri, turn lamp brightness to 75%.
Okay, I set the lamp to 75%.
Now we're going to turn the light back up. Oh, it's because this card is in the shadow. So we're going to move this here, and it's still going to be in the shadow. But it can be less in the shadow if I put these two closer together. You see all this light shadow manipulation that's happening, Scorpio? Isn't this like so you? Something that you're capable of. And then it was the Hierophant. And then it was the Lovers. And you still can't see this Three of Swords. I'm actually going to leave the Three of Swords like that. And then there's all this space here. So there's also this energy. This makes sense, right? This is where Midgard Sormer, Jormungandr, the Ouroboros cuts off. This is all of the runes, the moon runes that you can't read under this phase of, right? And I kind of sort of just moved the moon. So before it was like 40 something percent. So not even a quarter moon, because technically a quarter moon, a first quarter, or a 3/4 moon would be 50%. 100% brightness is a full moon. Even though 75% is like 3/4. We're in that gibbous, right? We were in a crescent phase before, and it's waxing because it got brighter. Now we're in a waxing gibbous. It's still not full. So there are two phases of the moon that we've been in so far. Scorpio, this is probably not going to make any sense. And I might put that disclaimer like in the beginning of the video. But if it resonates for you and if you watch it, then hopefully you get something. It's going to start making sense here pretty soon, Scorpio. But, you know, we have to abide by the old laws, as they would say in Ragnarok. I'm like, F the old laws. That's like, what was it? The War of 1776, the War for American Independence, where, you know, back in the day, soldiers used to just line up shoulder to shoulder with their muskets and fire and wait to be shot. But then 1776, they were like, well, if we do that with the British Army, we're not going to win. So insert guerrilla warfare. Insert, hiding in the bushes and looking at the paths that they got to go through and shooting at people through the trees when they enter the forest, right? Or burning bridges so they can't cross. And it was something that they didn't necessarily, I feel like they did it out of necessity. Like if they would have had the military power to fight in a traditional way, I'm pretty sure they would have. And you would have just been standing on the front line and you get shot, you go down. And then your buddy, like somebody steps up to replace you in line or they step over you or whatever, right? Scorpio, where am I going? I'm a Pisces, by the way. so, so that's why the Three of Swords isn't completely here. Or like here at all, really. You can see what? A piece of the third sword. I feel like that also goes to show not a lack of. This could be interpreted one of two ways. Either you're mostly over the Three of Swords pain and now you're receiving. Okay, yeah, I like that. You're mostly over this Three of Swords pain. And you're coming into receiving the keys to unlock more within yourself. And you're going to start working with the world in a new way because these runes that Odin didn't previously know are now being shown to you by Amrun. Because you're in a different phase now. You've moved your moon into a different phase. So your moon, Scorpio, is your ability to illuminate. It's just like the moon, illuminate the darkness and the within you, right? Either you can see it more or less completely if the moon is closer to new or closer to full. But in all phases of the moon, there's something to learn. And I feel like Scorpio was really, really good at like that, like crescent moon, new moon energy. But when it comes to full moon and that like gibbous moon, then it may be a little bit more difficult. I think Scorpio is quite comfortable in the dark and doesn't really handle illumination that well. And if you look at, deep sea creatures, there's no light down there. So they have evolved to not need eyes because there's nothing to see. It's all felt. And Scorpio feels very deeply. That's how you navigate, right? Through feeling. Because again, there's no light down there in the sea or in the ocean. Yeah, see, that's what I was talking about. The crescent moon up here. Is there a full moon in this deck? I feel like if there were a full moon in this deck, I wouldn't even be able to tell the difference between it and the sun. Anyway, so this key, the tooth in the key, remember the page, the Seeker of Coins that mirrored the Hanged Man, right? That showed you that the rose, first it's the tooth, and then it's the key, and then it's the moon. Here it's the moon, the tooth, and then the key. So there's already something different. It's a different phase of the moon. I feel like you've lived enough of your life sort of sulking and dealing with heavy emotion, managing heavy emotion. I would say managing and coping with heavy emotions and a heavy emotionality. But there's something about experiencing the lighter that maybe you haven't done as much. And I'm just going based off of the Scorpios who I know, or the people with scorpionic energy that I know in real life. That is not an accurate reflection of the entire collective of scorpionic energy I know. But it feels like more often than not, going back to altered states of consciousness, right? More often than not, it feels like a lot of those scorpionic energies aren't necessarily fully present in lighter moments. Now, it could be because of a substance that they're using. It could be because of things that they're ignoring. And it's not that they don't experience any happiness, right? Because that's not realistic. But it feels like even when they are in those happier moments, there's something that still kind of sort of pulls them away a little bit. And it's not necessarily about happy or not happy, it's illuminating the darkness. Okay, thank you for bringing me back. I think if you get close to a Scorpio, they let you in. But because I feel like when I've been let in by Scorpios, and like we all have our own journeys. We all come into healing in our own time when we want it, honestly. Because if we experience it before that, we'll just reject it. But there's like Scorpio knows its darkness because it lives in it. It knows the waters that it lives in, but it can't. But it's like it doesn't want to see. But there are some things that can only be seen under more light, Scorpio. There's two keys here. And I saw the Hanged Man, or the Hangman and the Seeker of Coins came out at the cut. And they look similar enough, so the Hanged Man is that other. So maybe this is the Hanged Man key, where it's Moon Tooth key. And maybe the Seeker of Coins key is Tooth Key Moon, unlocking a different phase of the moon that gives you access to these other moon runes. The Lovers is here sitting in a space of, it's like you realizing your potential, you finding your magic, honestly. This is utilizing those moon runes in addition to the other runes to produce more magics. Magics that Odin couldn't do without them, right? And he can do a fair amount of magic, right? And it was like he can shapeshift into most all creatures. And Baldur was loved in most all the realms. Because it's like, well, there are still some other ones that, you're not going to take a Baldur to Svartalfheim, the realm of the Dark Elves. So that, ew, that's bright AF. Get that out of here. You're blinding the locals. The children can't see. Think of the children and the elderly. Get that light out of here. Type of energy, right? I don't know if it's dark there. And if you take the light to Niflheimer, it's so misty and foggy. It's like, why you turn your brights down when you go into the fog, because the particles just scatter light endlessly. They reflect and refract light endlessly. Which is why the moon is perfect for those situations. There's also something here in the alchemy of light and dark. Because the thing about light and dark spaces is that it doesn't change the environment, right? If you put the sun in the nighttime sky, it's going to be day. You can't put the sun in the sky and still have night. It's too bright. It's too close. But the moon, with all of her phases, are his phases, because in Norse mythology, apparently, I haven't made it. Russ said it's a dude, and the sun is a woman, female. Moon is masculine, sun is feminine in Norse mythology, which is also perfect for this, right? Because that's that sort of like how your brain logically fixes things. You would think, oh, sun, masculine, look how bright and expressive it is. And you think, oh, moon, feminine, it comes out at night, right? It has phases and cycles, just like women have phases and cycles. Cough, cough, periods, right? You're Scorpio, you can handle it. Even if you're a man. Anyway, But it's like not here. And it's not like women didn't exist. It's not like there weren't the vulva, right, in Norse mythology. So it's interesting that the moon would still be a man even though women had cycles. Or it would be masculine energy, although women had cycles. I was trying to tie it to a rune, but from one of the rune maker videos, but it's not Flösa. Because Flösa feels like something that is a little bit more apparent or a little bit more obvious. Flösa, it's like it's already felt. It's something that you pretty much already know. You just don't want to know. This feels like something that you'd miss completely. So I don't get to. I mean, I'm gonna shout out Russ from Wrestling Around, Rob's Tarot, Reem, Miss Reemy Healings, and Cindy, Awakening to Spirit. The Rune team, whoop whoop. Anyway, I don't know if there's a rune yet, and there's the traditional runes that I know absolutely nothing about. That's like a lifting of the veil or interfering with the brain's natural ability. There has to be a rune for the things that you see out of the corner of your eye, but when you look, they're not there. When you do a double take, it's gone type of energy. That's what this is. And so there are things, again, that like you'd look away from. And then when you look back, it would be corrected. And so you dismiss it. Like, oh, maybe I'm just tired. I was seeing things. But is this internal, Scorpio? Oh, Scorpio, I knew this was going to be a ride. When it was like when you came out instead of Cancer. So that was if you are either you're stuck in the same phase of the moon or you're transiting into a different phase of the moon. Either way, there are things for you to learn and discover. If you're still in this phase of the moon, like if this Three of Swords being partially or mostly cut off, it's because there are things that pain you that you don't even look at, that you refuse to go into. And because you refuse to go into those spaces, you also refuse to be healed from them. Ignoring them isn't going to make you feel any better, Scorpio, and you know that. Now, if you're one of the people that uses anything outside of themselves to cope with certain emotions and events and happenings, as is very acceptable and human, because we're human and life is hard and things hurt. But it doesn't put you in a position to really be able to get over them. Because now it's like you'll form a dependency on whatever you're using to cope these feelings away. If that's the case, then it's like that's what you're forming that commitment to. With the Hierophant and the Lovers, your commitment and your actions and choices are not separable. And it makes sense for Scorpionic energy. They go hand in hand. And it's because you feel so deeply. It's like you can't feel that deeply and not be sort of led by those emotions. And it's not that you're necessarily like emotional in that sense, but it's just like, if you're that much afraid, then you're going to do whatever you need to do to not go into that realm of fear, right? It's like if you're that much in like a lack consciousness, then you're going to do whatever you need to do to get money. But it's like while you're consumed with this or while you're not facing this, there are other things that it's like you're sort of blinded to as well that they need your attention. And again, that's why this Ouroboros only encompasses like half of the wand here. And I feel like you can look at this and you can go, oh, well, like the Ouroboros is around the top part of the wand. That's where all the power is. That's where the magic shoots out. But you hold the wand at the bottom. you can't grab the wand by, and like they're like, where are you gonna grab that? You hold the wand at the bottom, and it's something that's out of your grasp, it's out of your reach. The Three of Cups is behind this, but the Three of Cups, it is an energy of like community, but again, it's this energy of like where you plant yourself, because misery loves company. So are you, look, pity party city? Is that like your sort of thing? Are you the company of misery and you keep the miserly or the miseried in company? And again, that's that, ew, it's too bright, get that light out of here type of energy. I feel like for what you've experienced and for what you've gone through, you've done a really, really, really good job of keeping yourself in the game, of keeping yourself here. Because it's almost like, regardless of whether you've had extremely externally traumatic experiences or not, you feel things so deeply that it could be something smaller that then becomes something more. And it's not to say that you haven't experienced trauma, because if you have experienced trauma and you feel things deeply, then again, it's like you're still here. So, good job. But if you really want to be liberated from something or free of something, eventually you have to address it. And I personally want to like shift the Three of Swords into frame, but it's not that easy. Oh, okay. Well, energetically, if this is something that you choose to receive, let's do this. So, hopefully, if this is something that you want, that you find the strength and support to move into a different phase of the moon, to bring more light down there. Because I feel like if you had more light down here, you'd be able to see the magic that's around you. And you would be able to learn it. Like, you would be able to incorporate it into your being. And that's another thing with this Lovers card. It's like, they're like this is the magic inside your soul, and it's like it's reaching there, right? Two keys, two hands, because there was one hand on each key. The Hanged Man and the Seeker of Coins. It feels like that Hanged Man energy is down. Like, you got that one. But the Seeker of Coins, where you use that wisdom to initiate yourself into new processes, into new ways of thinking, into new ways of being, into new ways of coping and managing and dealing with those heavy emotions, and to bringing more light into certain depths within you. And again, it's not that Scorpio is afraid of going deep because you live there. But I don't think Scorpio necessarily wants to see the things down there either, because you're also used to the dark. Right? If you see a light deep underwater, it's probably an anglerfish, and you're probably going to get eaten. There are no lights down here. It's all a trick. And that's almost the danger of Odin. It's like, once you know so much, it's hard to, well, okay. It's the danger of a lesser mature Odin, because I think, well, to Odin energy, I feel like Odin would have been an energy that always was aware and conscious of the things that he did not know. Right? And that's why Amrun is the known unknown. It's the things that you know that you don't know. It's not the unknown unknown. It's not things that you don't even know that you don't know. It's the known unknown. Or it could be the knowable unknown. There are things that you don't know that you could know. I feel like Odin was really good at knowing what he didn't know and being open to learning more. But I think in reality, and again in this self-preservation sort of way, it's like, you're convinced of whatever you're convinced of, and you're resistant to knowing anymore. Amrun is coming out, Amrun, with all the things that you wouldn't even be able to know because you haven't been in this position in your life, because your moon has never been in this phase. Amrun is also coming through as like you've gotten so comfortable where you are, you've gotten so proficient in your knowing of what you know. Oh, where'd it go? It's gone. If that's for you, and it probably isn't for a lot of you at least. I don't even know what a lot of you means. Because again, it's the anglerfish thing. That's what it is. And I don't know how to communicate that outside of the anglerfish, right? It's like if you've survived in the deeps for as long as you've survived in the deeps, then you gotta be smart. Again, you've done a good job keeping yourself here. You gotta be smart and you gotta be tough to make it this far, as far as you've made it, Scorpio, regardless of how you made it here. Regardless of whatever addictions or toxic coping mechanisms or bypassing or not addressing whatever you've done in the past, you're here today. You're watching this, which means you're here. And you have a certain amount of functionality and capacity to be able to navigate towards this. And sorry, I don't have any more accessibility features like captions on these. I probably should. Like being someone with a disability myself, you think maybe I'd be a little bit more aware, but I don't know how to do captions. Not knowing how to do captions is not an excuse. It's not a valid excuse. I'll work on it, Scorpio. But don't tell anybody else. I'm just playing. It's like you're here, and it doesn't matter what you have to do to get here. The thing is that you're here. That's what's important. That's what matters. And whatever you have to do to continue to be here, that's what's important. That's what matters. But if you want more, if you want to be liberated from the things that you do your best to manage, then it feels like the more is available to you. Since Svartalfheim is the card that came out and the ruler of Svartalfheim is here, I'm going to take that as the land that Odin is in. So Odin is not in a position of power here. Oh. Well, maybe not. Odin isn't severely weakened. It says the only card that can potentially weaken Odin's influence in the spread is the card of Muspel, the leader of the enemy army during Ragnarok. Ragnarok? I don't know. I've also read that like LL is pronounced like TL. So it's like Valhertel and like Neithervatler, but I can't roll R's or I can't do that in one. Misfit. I don't know. And that's not here. And again, there is an energy of support here. So Odin isn't weakened. Because it feels like Amrun is coming forward to offer you things that you didn't see before. But it's like you won't see it unless you bring more light into dark situations. And again, it feels like there's a difference between actual light, because it feels like Amrun is bringing actual light into these situations. And a lot of times when we talk about bringing light to a situation, it's like, bringing awareness of it. And it feels like you're plenty aware of these things because, again, you can feel them. Even if you can't see them, you can feel them. But something here needs to be seen and not only felt. And the actual seeing might be a little bit more outside of your comfort zone. I don't know how you see these things as opposed to feeling them, Scorpio. You're a water sign. You're intuitive. You get this. Even if you weren't a water sign, if you're watching this, I'm assuming there's a fair amount of intuitiveness within you that you are open and aware of. I don't know what the difference is between seeing and feeling down in these spaces, but it's important that you know that this light, and use your discernment, because not necessarily every light, some of those lights are anglerfish, but this light is not an anglerfish. And the difference lies in the intention. The anglerfish intends to deceive you in order to eat you. This light intends to inform you in order to liberate you, or to illuminate something to you in order for you to be liberated from it, or to find more comfort, like a substantial comfort, and less of a I don't, you know what I mean. Here, that's the difference. It's in the intention. And we can try to trick and fool and deceive, but intentions are kind of loud, especially if you're tuned into them. And I feel like, Scorpio, you could tune into intention, but I also feel that like your fear may also come into play. Scorpio is such an interesting, like, Scorpio is predator and prey at the same time. And we all are. But Scorpio can sometimes be that predator because it is so prey. It's an extremely like vigilant self-defensive energy, where it's like, I'm gonna attack before I get attacked type of energy. And so it is in self-defense a lot of times. I guess Scorpio, just like anybody, they could be out causing problems and trouble and just for the sake of it. But it feels a lot of times that it's more preventative. But there is this question, or especially with the Three of Cups here and the Wheel of Fortune here, it's like, and with Amrun changing the phase of the moon so that there are other runes that you can now read and things that you can incorporate into your life, and so that you can expand your consciousness, awareness, and your magic. It's like things are going to change, and preemptively attacking or stinging out of a fear of being hurt or attacked isn't going to serve. It's almost like you think that the light is an anglerfish, so you kill it, and then after you kill it, you go up to it because Scorpio's got to eat too, and then you realize it's not an anglerfish. It was actually something or someone that was going to help, like, take you out of the depths. For Scorpio, it's interesting because I don't think you ever necessarily leave. It's almost like a bipositionality, right? It's like you could be there whenever you want to be there, but you don't have to live in it. If you need to go there for something that you're doing, for someone that you're consoling, for a part of your service, then you can go down there. But you don't have to live down there. You don't have to be constantly exposed to it. You don't have to be in that constant sort of survival mode. And again, it's like some of this you would already know. Odin was there for a few of the moon phases, or at least, well, 28 divided by 4 is, girl, math, 6, no, 28 divided by 2 is 14, divided by 2 is 7. I knew that, girl, I can't math. Hey Siri, what's 7 times 4?
7 times 4 is 28.
Yeah. So he did go through a fourth, more than a fourth of the moon phases, right? So that's from like new to first quarter, from first quarter to full, from full to third quarter, from third quarter to new. But there's like 3/4 of the pie, roughly, that he didn't get. And it's like it's getting you to see that there is more outside of all of that. And it's not for you to abandon what you already know. It's not for you to neglect or to forget what it is that you've already experienced. It's just to know that there's more. That you don't always have to be in that space. Because for you, Scorpio, it may be important in however you serve or however you connect to people because you can and because you have comfort. I'm not going to clear my throat. Oh, thank you. Because that would be disgusting. Um, because you can and because you have more comfort and feeling and navigating those spaces in emotional ways. And once you get used to like the light being there, you'd also maybe be able to gradually and incrementally put light in other people's sort of lives. Because if they aren't as emotionally led and guided throughout those spaces and throughout their lives, then they will need light to see. Not all of us have developed to live in a space outside of the light. But it's like your energy hasn't necessarily developed in a space where light is present and not threatening. Long story short, it feels like there may be some service there for you. So it's not for you to forget. It's just for you to expand, to grow more. And again, I feel like scorpionic energy is really comfortable like expanding into the darkness and like going deeper, but not necessarily high enough where the light of the sun starts to penetrate through the water. And then, there's the adjustment phase. Like your eyes have to adjust. I'm sure like your internal organs have to adjust because there's also pressure differentials, like when you change elevation in water and you don't want to get the bends, right? And so too in that, it's like, as you are lightening things, know that it'll also take time for you to adjust. So if you're adjusting a little bit slower or whatever, don't be hard on yourself. I mean, I feel like the biggest thing here is like not to be hard on yourself. Because I think Scorpio can also sort of do that. I think Scorpio does it in a way where maybe a lot of people don't see it. I'm a Pisces, so Scorpio, I be down there. I don't live down there, but I got a fish down there sometimes. And it's like, oh, Scorpio's here. And Scorpio's like, oh, Pisces here. They're not gonna be here for long. They're gonna go back up to the surface. That's what you do, Pisces. You never just stay down here with me. You're like, yeah, Scorpio, you're right. Because I know what it's like, closer to the surface, girl. And sometimes you ain't even gotta make a deal with Ursula to walk on the land, which is why I love Luca. Cause ain't no Ursula in Luca. It's not something that like the fear is still there, but it's not something that you have to go and make a deal with some sort of entity or person or who wants something in exchange. Again, it's that energy of it's already within you. You just haven't put yourself in a position to experience this, and so your brain, it abides by the constructs that you give it or that is given to it, and it automatically corrects and adjusts for anything that would be out of place. Which is why you have to do this a little bit more consciously, maybe. Which is why you may not have noticed certain things in the past. You may not have noticed certain people who were there for you, or you may not have noticed the love that was there. You may not have noticed what you felt was lacking that was present in other ways because it wasn't where your attention was. Oh, I got your title, Scorpio. I gotta write it down before I forget. It's gonna be seeing rather than feeling. And if you make it this far, you should know why. I'm so not a fan of titles or thumbnails, which is honestly why I don't count a lot of time today. Scorpio, this is what I have for you. I feel like your advice would be it's not to be open. I don't know. I don't have any advice for you. I don't think you need advice, Scorpio. I think if Scorpio was looking for anything, it would be like validation or confirmation. But I think sometimes and I think that's something that I forget a lot of times. That validation and confirmation. I forget it when I'm in the space of like holding space, how important validation and confirmation and how affirming it is. How important it is and how affirming it is. But again, with that Three of Cups, I would be careful of what you sort of use to validate. Because you could either have the dark validated or you could have the birthing of the light validated. And I think you want the birthing of the light. But it's what it sort of triggers within you. Like, is that an anglerfish? Type of energy. And it's not that your life has been so terrible that there's absolutely no light at all. Right? You know, Scorpio. I feel like I gotta let you know that I know. So, in letting you know that I have to say that I know that you know, so that you know that we both know. And again, it's like in your energy, you feel so like the first word that pops to my mind is whole or complete. Like there's nothing wrong with you. It just feels like you could do more or be more or experience more. And in all of the more, it like this more does not make you any less. And I think sometimes when we hear more, we can automatically assume less. This more isn't going to take away from you. This more isn't going to make you feel worse about yourself. This more adds. That's what more means. That's what an addition is. It doesn't mean that what you had before was less. I mean, it does because now you have more, but it doesn't make you any less. It doesn't have to take away from anything that you've already built and established. And I feel like that's actually very important here. Because what's going to happen is your Mangander is going to grow to the point where it can encompass this entire wand. Right? And so all that you've already done and uncovered and experienced and mastered and managed and worked through, it remains. You just become more capable of more. Right? Scorpio, if you sat through this, I hope this makes sense. I really hope it does. And I feel like it does make sense, but I feel like it was just so like roundabout and so long. But I'm not gonna make it any longer, Scorpio. I hope you have a good whatever whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. And I hope that you really, because I feel like it's important to say that like you becoming more doesn't mean that you were any less. It's just like there's so much of you that lies. This is you, Scorpio, so I don't have to generalize this. There's so much of you that lies outside of what you're comfortable with. I feel like it's very much so that, like, I don't remember the quote, but it's like, our fear isn't that we're not good enough or that we're not pretty enough or that we're not smart enough. Our fear is that we are more than we can ever even be capable of imagining. And in the process of becoming that, that's where the fear is. It's not that you aren't enough. It's that you are actually so much more. And you are, Scorpio. So much more. Like, so much more. But sometimes it's like you don't want to see it. I don't know if because it's with the feeling, well, it's like, well, if I'm all of this more, then why have I gone through? Why have I experienced? Why do I feel? I feel like us water signs, being the feelers that we are, probably know the best that feelings are just there. Feelings are just there. Feelings are what they are. And like, can you psychoanalyze them? Yeah. Can you find the root? Yeah. But sometimes the feeling is just there. It's like sometimes maybe the feeling comes before the experience even happens. And you're like, oh, that's why I felt this way. I had the feeling before I even encountered the experience. And it's like, oh gosh. Anyway, Scorpio, I'm not making this any longer. I hope you have a good whatever whenever you see this, and I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. I hope you allow yourself to be more, Scorpio, to see more, to do more, and I hope that you realize again that it doesn't make you any less.